In this video I have a Ryobi random orbital sander, which is, I forget what model, ROS 300S, is that it? And I picked this one up at Bunnings because my other old one died. 300 watt, no load speed, 7,000 to 13,000, orbit size 2.4 millimeter, pad base 125 millimeter, weighs 1.62 kilos, and it does come with some sandpaper. I think someone was complaining in one of the reviews that it's not the best quality, which is possibly the case. Dust box, glows blue when plugged into the power supply. Wow, it's got a light on it. Well, I think you'd usually know if they're running. Quick fix hook and loop base, so these ones you do have to buy the prefabricated sort of disc for it, which is pretty standard these days. It's not like the older ones with the square sheet you could cut yourself off a roll or whatever. So it's got a Velcro attachment. So we'll see what this thing's like. I forget what it actually costs now, but I think it was around the $70 mark or something. Got some more info on the end. Two of each grit size, 60, 100, 150, 180, 240 by the look of it. So it looks like it's actually, is that a carry case it comes with? I don't actually know. 240 volt, 300 watt, yeah, same thing. Looks like it's got some sort of case here, so how do we open this box? Is there a particular way? So we just rip the ends open. I think that's, how does that come out? No, that's glued, I think. So, oh well, rip the end open, I guess, and oh yeah, it comes in a nice little sports bag type carry case. Matching colours to the unit itself. Well, I guess I'll have bits and pieces here all stashed in there. 240, 180, 150, 100, 60 and 240. Oh, two 240s there, I guess, and that should have been on the other lot. Yeah, so it looks like we've got all our sanding discs. Random orbital sander. Bit random, I guess. Warranty registration form. I assume it's got like 12 months or something. Okay, so we've got to look it up in a list, the usual thing. Hand tools, workbench and storage, corded power tools. Oh, 4 years. I wonder if this actually has a 4-year warranty. That's pretty good if it does. General safety warnings, use and care. Clamp workpiece with a clamping device. I guess in other words, if you're sanding something smaller or loose with this thing, it can transfer its motion to the whatever you're sanding and move it. Don't use sanding paper larger than needed. Extra paper extending beyond the pad can also cause serious lacerations. Yeah, obviously you don't want it working near your skin anywhere. Wear safety goggles and dust mask, especially when sanding overhead. Breathing respirator while sanding lead paint, some woods, metal to avoid breathing the harmful toxic dust or air. And you should, well, it's recommended that you run it off an RCD, as in earth leakage current detecting circuit breaker or power board of some sort, which is always a good idea with tools. Probably not much else to it. No, it looks pretty simple and straightforward as you'd expect. I guess that's the only other thing we need to know, how to get the dust box on and off. Oh, it's got a looks like a filter in there. Yeah, it's an ROS 300. Vibration emission level given this information sheet. Imported by Tektronic Industries Australia or New Zealand. Oop, shouldn't have put that on the carpet, should I? There's one warning. Don't sit it on carpet bench top because it'll stick to that. Being Velcro coated. What size do I want? I've got to do a little bit of sanding to do some painting. 60 seems a bit harsh. I might go the 100. So I should just be able to stick that on there. It does actually stick out a little bit on its own, but not excessively. And this little box, what does it say about that? We've got a can we flick that up? What does it say? So I think that's our operating button, is it? Ah, yeah. So it's got a click on off switch, not a press button one. Looks like we've got a speed adjustment. That'll be our light. Yeah, definitely speed, because they show the old turtle and rabbit kind of 1 to 6. And do it in a sort of straight line, don't go zigzagging around the place like you're a snail. So it looks like the whole box pulls off, then the lid comes off as the filter comes out, and all the rubbish goes in the bin. Ah yeah, that does pull off. Oh, that's simple enough. Nice to know what you got to do. Now, how do we get the lid off it? Oh, maybe start at that end. It's probably pretty tight when it's new. There's the filter. So that just sits in there by the look of it. Oh yeah, I guess that's where the air comes back out or goes in, whichever way this thing blows. So it goes around a little deflector, yeah, through a filter. Oh yeah, well there's the hole in the top. And that, so what's the other hole for? Well, there's 2 holes I guess, one on the top, one on the bottom, to let the air either in or out, and it's got a cyclonic action. I guess that's the idea of curving it round. Click it back together. Put that on, so that should be good if that sucks a bit of the dust out. Let's have a look at what action it has got, I guess. We've just got the normal mains cord. But I do have some painting to do, so I need to get this thing up and running. Yeah, it looks a bit random, like they say. I probably haven't got that disc on there quite central, but that probably won't hurt anyway. Yeah, blue light. So the blue light's to indicate there's power there. That makes sense. So that's on as long as you've got power to the power point or to the power cord. I guess it makes sense. The air must blow out of here, which it feels like it's doing because the dust starts here. And the other thing, of course, you've got to do is line up your holes nicely, because that's where it's sucking through. I guess that's how you really put the disc on, is make it line up with those holes. That's your airflow in. Hopefully sucks up a fair bit of the dust and dumps it in this thing. Yeah, it seems like quite a nice unit to hold. We'll find out, I guess. Probably double-handed like that. Microfiltration. So it looks like, you know, at least with the filter in there, should get some of the worst of the dust out of it. That'll need cleaning out occasionally, I guess. Just tap it out, and possibly washable. I don't know if it says anything about the filter cleaning. Lubrication. All the bearings are lubricated with sufficient amount of high-grade lubricant for lifespan. Maintenance. Avoid using solvents. Electric tools used on fiberglass material, wall boards, backling compounds, or plaster are subject to accelerated wear and possible premature failure. That's it, you don't want to use on that stuff too much. So they're saying if you use any abrasive use it on anything abrasive like plaster and fiberglass and stuff, is to blast it out with compressed air on a regular basis, I guess, probably after every time you use it. I don't see anything, just random stuff I think, or general information on tools. So it doesn't say, a lot of these are washable, these filters. I think if they get really bad you can give them a rinse. Doesn't really say much about it, which is often the case. But there is a filter to clean out. Obviously that's going to need a regular tapping out of the filter as well as cleaning out of the box. So we'll see how quick this thing fills up. I think that'll do the grit that I want to do, so I'll try this thing out and see how it goes. Well, I just sanded some paint with this thing, some of it peeling off and stuff, and worked as expected. 60 grit, not overly aggressive, but these type of sanders aren't. If you really want to cut stuff back in a hurry, you want a belt sander. Well, I think they do make little palm disc sanders that actually just spin and go flat out in a circle, whereas these are meant to be much gentler, and that's exactly what this was. Perfect for just getting little lumps and bumps out of the paint, removing a bit of flaking paint and that sort of thing without, you know, really cutting back into the timber or anything, which is what you don't necessarily want. You just want to take off the loose surface stuff and smooth out the surface, any little lumps and bumps and stuff, and it did a good job, so completely happy with that. I know if we collected an awful lot of dust in there, not a massive amount. It probably left as much as it collected, though some of it was a bit of lumpier bits of paint coming off, so it's probably not going to suck those up, they'll just fall off. But yeah, it worked perfectly fine and did what I expected. And yeah, like I say, it's just like an older style Orbital sander, the square ones, not overly aggressive. So if you want to really cut stuff back, get yourself a belt sander or something. Some people are probably disappointed with these things, thinking they're going to really attack things, but if you've got like rotted wood, or you really want to take paint completely off, I've got a job like that for the local hall. We want to fix one of the sheds up, and a friend's got a heap of old weatherboards, so I said I'll do it, I'll sand them, get them ready, as long as he's got a belt sander, which he does, because you can just get in and absolutely rip all the old paint down, rip out off any sort of rotten surface, flaky paint right back to the original timber and stuff, and get rid of any rough surface on the timber. But those things create a lot of noise and a lot of dust, and you've got to be super careful with this old potentially lead paint. The house here isn't that old. I don't think the paint I just did was lead paint, but always best to at least wear a basic dust mask, wear some eye protection, because if you get grit off these in your eyes and rub your eyes, as I found out, well, that was using a belt sander, and didn't even realise I was rubbing my eyes, but afterwards when I finished, I had really sore eyes from corneal abrasions. So best to, you know, they will flick a bit of old paint and stuff off. If you're using it up high, always use eye protection, just normal safety glass type things will do, or you can use one of those like the brush cutter thing with the full face guard. Is probably ideal for keeping all the muck off yourself. And yeah, it doesn't hurt to use a bit of hearing protection as well, just because they don't sound nice. I like to wear hearing protection just so I don't have to listen to the things, because it's not a noise I particularly enjoy. And yeah, like I say, just even a throwaway dust mask. If you're not doing lead paint, if you're doing lead paint, that's a whole different story. You really need a proper respirator for that pressurized thing and stuff, so the dust can't get into you, and probably one of those suits, throwaway chem suit things, so that you don't get it in your clothes. But for general use, this thing's pretty good. And yeah, I'm really happy that did exactly the job I wanted in the sort of time I expected. Cleaned up a bit around the front door, so I can now paint that all. Got to bang a few nails in and then paint it, and that'll get that all recoated for another few years. So yeah, no complaints about that. It's handy having a little carry case, because you can keep your bits and pieces in there. And yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion whether these are good or bad sanding discs, but like I say, the 60, you can see I've taken the edges off it, but that's because I was sort of going, I've got some like similar to weather boards, overlap boards and stuff, so I was going right up into the corner of those, and then the frame around the door, so I was really bashing the edges of this about, which is about normal. I think that looks about normal wear to me. And yeah, like I say, it's not overly aggressive even for a 60 grit. I really had to use a 60 grit to get some of the lumpy bits of paint and stuff off. but which is good in a way because you can use a higher grit paper and get rid of what you want to get rid of, but without any risk of like cutting grooves into the boards or anything, which is what you'll get with a sander that's more aggressive. So yeah, I think that one is a win. Thanks for watching.